Hey everyone, Tech Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about this TV right here. This is the U8000F. And just in case you missed it, I did do a unboxing. I talked about all the gaming setups, the inputs, the design, and showed you how to set it up. On this video, we're just going to talk about the picture quality and some of the features that this TV has. Now, if you've been following me since 2020, I did an unboxing and setup and all that good stuff on the TU8000. Then we moved over to the AU8000. They skipped the BU8000 here in the United States, but then we continued on to the CU8000, the DU1000, and now we have this TV right here. Now, I will say that this TV, they have been taking away a little features over the years. For example, this TV no longer has a fiber optic output, so you can't run it directly to an older audio system. Addition to that, this TV doesn't have adjustable feet anymore. So with that out of the way, I will tell you that this TV does have a new menu system, which is pretty good, and I really think it's a lot user-friendly for you guys out there. And I would say that the colors are still great on this television, and it also has a pretty decent anti-glare coating on it, so it's not going to pick up all the lights in the room, but if you have a lot of windows, just watch out. And I will say that the viewing angles are pretty good on this TV as well, being the fact that this is a VA panel. If you plan on buying the U8000F for watching movies, overall, I think your experience will be good. I will tell you though, in the black levels on letterbox movies, you will see some gray haze in it. And because this is one of Samsung's entry-level televisions, it's not going to have local dimming zones. So you have a technology called Samsung's UHD dimming, which does a decent job of creating those black levels. But I will tell you, it's not going to be the inkiest TV that you ever seen on the market. But if you want a Samsung TV with the darkest black level, you're going to have to invest more money to get a QLED, a mini LED, or even an OLED to achieve that. Now, for general use watching sports on this televisions, I think it's going to be a fairly decent picture, but keep in mind it all depends on what type of content and the quality of the content that you play through it to get the best picture quality. But in my findings, I thought everything was pretty smooth due to the 120 Hertz motion rate. In my opinion, I think it's going to be good for the average consumer. Now, when it comes to the smoothness of your picture, which we call motion, I would say that it's not one size that fit all. This is a feature that depends on what your tastes are, that you may have to go in here and adjust it from time to time based off the content that you're watching. But I would say if you want the smoothest picture, you want to put it in dynamic mode. The only problem with that is that it's going to put the TV in its brightest settings. But in my opinion, this is something you're going to constantly have to adjust if you're not happy with how smooth the TV is. But the great thing is you at least have these settings so you can customize it. A lot of people are asking me how bright are these TVs that I've been reviewing. So I want to pull out my testing equipment, as you see back here, using Calman software to see how bright the television. When I test dynamic mode, I was able to get 277 nits out of it. In standard mode, I was able to get 285 nits out of the television. And I'll say it's not the brightest television on the market. For most people, it will be bright enough for all your TV shows and movies, but a lot of people do turn down their brightness anyway on these higher end, brighter televisions. So you have to be the judge and see if it's gonna work for you. Another thing I want to show you is that this TV does have more of a blue push as far as the colors from the factory and movie mode. And I did attempt to calibrate it, but I ran into a few errors. So at this point, I'm not gonna be able to give you those settings, but I at least want to show you some of this footage. And even though I don't have the calibration settings on this video, I will say that the settings built into the Samsung TVs are going to help you get the best picture quality depending on the content you watch. In my opinion, I think the dynamic mode is going to be for people who want a really bright screen to get the maximum out of this television. But for the more natural look, you want to switch over to movie mode. But I do feel for most people, standard mode is going to be good enough unless you're watching a movie. But that's something that you can consider according to how you like to watch your television. When it comes to audio, this TV has 20 watts, which is not a lot of power, but on the bottom of it, there is a bass port to give you some enhanced sound. It also can connect to the Samsung Q Symphony audio soundbars, and it has a feature called Object Tracking Sound Light. And what this will do is it will track the different objects on the screen to move with the sound, so you get more of a surround sound type effect. Now, even though this is recording, I want to let you hear what the audio sounds like. I think I found my favorite destruction. Comes to my pros, I don't play by the rules, gotta switch up the flow. Hey, chill on the weekend, give X's and no. She in love with the kid, I ain't texting her phone. Now we're going to do some basic testing so you can see how well this TV performs. Well, when it comes to dirty screen effects, you are going to see some areas that are not as uniform as the center of the television. So you're going to get a slight vignetting, but I will tell you, whenever you're watching content on it, you will not see this happening unless you're watching content that has a gray screen. And since this is a VA panel, I didn't find any noticeable blooming on this television, so I don't feel like it's anything for you to worry about when it comes to TV as far as getting halo effects around images. Now this TV has a crystal UHD processor, and the whole concept behind it is that it could take pretty much any content and upscale it to 4K. And my findings on 480p content, I don't think it did that great of a job as far as clearing up the image, but I would say once I switched over to 720p, which is more the resolution that this TV is looking for, it did a really good job making it look more like 4K. Now, of course, 1080p is going to give you a slight improvement over the 720p because it has more lines of resolution. But of course, if you go to 4K native resolution, it's going to give you the absolute best picture quality. And I recommend you use that whenever possible if you're paying for premium streaming services. The last few things I want to mention about this TV is that when it comes to adjusting the screen, it has plenty of settings inside there, so you can stretch the screen sideways, long ways, and this is going to be great for people who are watching 4:3 content who wants to fill up the screen by zooming into it. Samsung gives you plenty of controls to do just that. For you gamers out there, I went over everything on the unboxing videos, so go check that out right after this video. But just to give you a quick summary, this TV is a 60 Hz television, and I tried to override it on the Xbox, and there's no way to get 120 Hz out of this television. Another thing I want to point out is that when it comes to input lag, you're looking about 9.9 to 10 milliseconds. So overall, it's pretty good when it comes to that. And also keep in mind, this TV does have auto low latency and variable refresh rate, but it does not have a game bar. So before you ask me how good is this TV for games, I think it works really well as long as you have the expectation of 60 frames per second. So what's my opinion about this TV? I don't think it's better or worse than any of the previous versions of this television. In fact, I think in some cases you will like the fact that you have this new operating system, and I think that's really the thing that makes it stands out. Now I know some of the newer Samsung TVs have AI features, which I'm looking to get a couple of those in to test out, but this TV is kind of like a very bare bones type of Samsung TV, so you're not going to have all these bells and whistles, but you at least have the voice control. Now here's the thing. When you look at the box, it says it works with Amazon, it works with Google and some other features. The way that works is that you'll have to take the SmartThings application, log into that, and then you can plug that into the other applications. And with that point, you can use one of the little smart home devices to control the TV and do basic features. But for its voice commands, that is not built in. So make sure that you understand that. Another thing, this TV does support Apple AirPlay. So if you have an iPhone or iPad or a computer, you can cache your image over to it, as well as cache your images from your Samsung devices using SmartView. I haven't tried to cache through it using third-party application, but if you have an Android device, I'm pretty sure you can do it with some of the apps that are on the App Store. With that being said, I think this TV is fair. I wish that you could raise it up and lower it. For some people, they want that nice smooth profile, but that's just the way Samsung designed it. But one thing that they did put on this TV is a metal back. I know it doesn't matter because on the back of the TV, but they kind of got away from the plastic design on this model, which is A+. So should you run out and buy this? I'll say if it was me, I would probably consider the DU7200 if you don't care about the voice commands. And if you can save some money, maybe look into the DU8000. But if you just want the newest and greatest software as well, then you definitely want to take a look at this. That's all I have on this video. I'm Tech Steve. Thanks all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.